Hi everyone, my name is Lucian. Most of you know me from Twitter as Triangle Investor. Today I'm joined by one of the most experienced CEOs in uranium space. He's the CEO of two successful exploration companies, F3 Uranium and Strathmore Plus, Mr. Dev Randhawa. Dev, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoy your Twitter. You're insightful and fair.
Thank you very much.
You're tough, you're fair. I think, there's enough cheerleaders out there, and there's enough trolls out there. We don't need any more of those people. Well, we need our people to have intelligent conversation. Because best decisions in the world are made on best information, and that information is rarely in your head. So you really got to be learning much as we can, and people like yourself really do add to it.
Thank you. I'm trying to do my best. I love uranium, I love nuclear energy, and I really try to post smart stuff whenever I can. Dev, I want to start with your background. We all know that you are a long time in uranium business, but nevertheless, tell us, how did you get involved in uranium, and tell us more about your prior roles in other uranium companies.
Sure. Well, and that's funny because I never even got into uranium until 1996, and I started investing in the business for a decade before that.
Yeah.
I started actually financing a couple of biotech companies that did very well, called Genesis Pharma. Twice we took it public, and I was a broker, and then I came back and helped sell it later on as well. So mostly I knew more about that, and doing corporate development. And then finally, we were doing some of these things. And a buddy of mine said, "Have you looked at uranium deals?" And I said, like most people, I say, "What are these uranium for? Like, we're so out of touch." And then when I started doing homework, I realized, what an outlier this was, but it needed. It was an asset in the States I started with. If you're producing 40, but you need 4 million pounds, right? And today America needs 50 and produces 0. Well, that to me tells you there's an opportunity there. Now, the industry has changed because Kazakhstan got their costs under control and realized there was a huge opportunity in uranium, and that's what they've done. But so industry has changed. So I got into it in 96. We had an awful deal to work with, to be honest with you, but I didn't know any better. And then finally there was the big shakeout with Bre-X, and everything got back. All the mining stuff became more interesting. And so that's what it was. I started in 1996, acquired an auction on our property in New Mexico. Along the way, we picked up the Macasani projects in Peru.
Yeah.
That's a little wrong, but everything died, as you know, after Bre-X, 98, 99. It wasn't until 2003, 2004 that, industry mining picked back up again. There was an interest in it. Obviously, for uranium back then, what was the two big triggers? The Black Swan was Cigar Lake.
Yes.
And the flood there. And that's a warning for people who think, drilling in the Athabasca sandstone is a piece of cake. What causes all these high grades is the amount of water. Well, what causes the problem is the water. And so at the same time, there was a fire at Ranger. So that stopped it. So it was like a James Taylor song. There was rain, there was fire, and they had both at the same time. And so uranium prices moved up. And then what happened was utilities were slow, but the financial people weren't. They went and started buying uranium. We're talking like uranium was 13, 14, 15, 17. And boom, it went to 140. Near that point, Peter Groskopf, who's the one that started SPUT, came to me and said, hey, he was banking at the time with Cormark. And he said, why don't we take the Canadian portion of Strathmore into a separate company? Now, Strathmore had gone from 1.6 market cap to over $500 million almost. So it was insane. Everybody just, uranium going to 200, and so prices went nuts. Now, I'm not sure this will happen again. So we took those assets from the Canadian assets, started Fission Energy. Again, we got lucky in that Hathor made a discovery right next door to our property called Waterbury. So we made it easy to raise money. More importantly, the Korean group really wanted to come in, the Korean Electric Power Company. They said, we'll put up all the exploration money. That was a great deal. That kept us going because, 2008, 9, and 10 were very tough times. But they put up all the money, $5 million a year for us to explore. And finally we hit, that was called the J Zone.
Yeah.
And time went along and we cut a deal in 2016, finished in 2012, finished in 2013. We sold that to Lucas Lundin, that project and everything on the east side of the basin. We took what was left, went to the west side of the basin where everybody said you shouldn't go to, but we did. And we were successful. We found what we did is we used a very unique idea. I would say the only way David can beat Goliath, you got to be smarter and use technology if you can. And a slingshot goes a lot further than trying to get in close to give someone the blade with David and Goliath. Well, we use technology. We flew the whole basin really close to the ground and found these boulders near Triple R. And sure enough, we led to the hole 16 that led to Triple R. That discovery actually led to a company being rolled into a shell called Kermat called NextGen.
Yeah.
They made the discovery. We didn't own all of the project. We didn't own all the project in 50% only. So we owned half was Alpha. We put the two together, and they didn't want to do a 60-60 deal. They wanted to do, they wanted to do 50-50. We felt it should be 55-45 because we had these 15 other assets. They said, no, we won't do it. So we said, fine, let's do 50-50, but we're going to take our exploration assets and put them in a separate company, which we did, which became F3.
Yeah.
So, we started with stress. Basically, what I'm saying that if you look in your account today, and you owned us in 2007, you would have a share of Energy Fuels because U.S. assets eventually got sold there. Energy Fuels. You would have a share of Denison. You have shares of FCU and F3. Not many companies can do that. But we always acquire assets, build one, and then sell it and keep the rest. So that's our history. That's why when it comes to all this drilling stuff, it's not like athletics. We get older and we get slower. Good as Beckham was, Beckham had to retire. That doesn't work that way in our industry. John DeJoya, Ross McElroy, Ray Ashley, Sam Hartman, these guys just get smarter and better, So people say, how's your drilling and all this kind of stuff? And I'm going, oh, I'm super confident because if it's there, we will find it. Because, Ray, you got to remember also, we have found two types of deposits, right? We have found, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm centered. We found the J zone, which was right at the unconformity. You got this uranium shoots up and like a tree flowers out. That's where the uranium is. The rock at NextGen and FCU is all hard basement, and that's very crucial because it's so easy to mine. You have water, and there's no chance of water coming into there. Lee was saying it is so beautiful. If you go down, you see the rocks that come out. It's in the basement. Basement's much easier to mine. You don't have to worry about the water. So, but all these deposits were formed at the unconformity. Okay, but what happened was glaciers took up. If you remember, there's no sandstone in the other two deposits because they are at the edge of the. What we look at the basin today, it's much smaller than it was because the glaciers all receded, but the uranium stayed, and that's essentially what the boys have in NextGen and FCU is that we're all got uranium, but it's all cosmos, but we've got the benefit of the glaciers wiping that out.
You're right about that. Dev, your company commenced the mobilization for Patterson Lake North summer drilling. The goal is to expand on the successful winter drilling results from JR zone. How is that going? How many meters do you plan to drill, and what are your expectations there?
Well, I would say we raised 12 million, so about 30 holes. We're just doing 3 holes we collared before. We asked extra money, so we collared them. We ran out of, the problem was we're on land and we're shallow. 2 great things, but you still have a break in there. So we're finishing the 3 holes we had that were collared already, and then we'll start again. We have 2 rigs, 1 sonic rig. If you listen to Lee Courier or Ross McElroy, you hear that as we get further north from that corridor, there's a lot of overburden, and it's hard. So it's been an education process for Lee and all of us to realize we got to use sonic and make it, because if we use our core, there's so much stuff, it's easy for us to be trying to go here and we're off by 1%. By the time we get to where we want to go, we're off by 40 meters. And you and I both know uranium is in 5, 10, 15 meter blods, not 50 meters. Right. So, so first of all, we do those 3 holes, we'll do 30 odd holes, and that's a lot of holes. That is, you got to keep in mind that, we used to spend 5 million all year or 10 million all year. Now we're doing 12 million in the summer. So it's a very ramped up program. But the whole idea is to find out, we're learning. We think we know that it comes, we think we know the zone now. And if we can then, we realize now we were probably hitting below it.
Okay.
When we were further south on the PLN, we realized we're below the zone. So now we're going to try to hit the zone. We see very clearly what we think we have to do. We think we know where the zone goes, but we're hitting it. It's pretty flat, thankfully, but so we're learning. My expectations are that we had pretty good success in the winter. I like our chances. If you were giving me only 10 holes, I'd say, I don't know, might hit on 2 to 4 holes, big ones. The rest everything, you get mineralization. Mineralization is defined by anything over whatever, but to get pounds, you need to hit that 5-10% uranium. I know people are over here thinking about 55, 67%. That's not what builds a mine. If you can average 5% over 10 meters, holy crap. It doesn't take much. Like, people don't realize Munich's, where they play their football, that could hold 100 million pounds if that was a uranium deposit. So people don't understand that all football stadiums could hold it, but they're blobs. So I try to tell investors not to get too excited all the time, because look at the history of uranium. ISO, the last big discovery, took 200 holes to find 50 million pounds, super high grade, but 2 years. So for us to have something that was 105 meters long already, after 6 months, pretty good. So obviously the logic is you extend it, right? But there's some great geochem signatures that are out 300, 450 higher that we're going to attack as well, right? We also want to look closer to the sandstone. So we're going to do both, but the thing is, we got to gain pounds and we want to get length. And it's in pretty good hands, though. Like I tell people that, Ray and Sam, picked the holes in FCU too, because it's geochem, right?
Yeah.
It's geochem. It's not geology. Geology says here's your faults, here's this, here's your geochem, everything else. But after that, you got to use geoscience to pick where you go. So that's where we're going. And they're actually, I was up at We had a meeting this morning. I can't say much about it, but we're
Okay.
probably going to sort of put out. We have 30 holes. Probably put them out in 5-6 increments is my guess. That can change, but at the end of the day, we will follow the drill bit. It's been our story going back to J zone, JR zone, where are now, and the triple R.
Dev, one question for you. Are you taking any different approach with drilling to advance this project from the one that you did with fission uranium when it was in early stage of discovery?
We're still learning. If you look at that, the way that mine was built, the original hole was here, but almost 500 meters away.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact number. That's the 100 million pounds is right there. So what they thought they had, they didn't have, but they had to keep stepping out to find the big blob of uranium, right? So what we learned from it, when we first got the hole over, we just got it. We were trying to figure out if it was a, vertical or a horizontal. We believe is leading towards a horizontal. Again, we're only in, 22 holes. If you give me 200 holes, I know exactly what I have. Right now, we're all speculating. And this is all speculation. Investors need to know that.
Of course.
Drill it. What I'm saying to them is, look, this is not the first time this company has found a deposit. We found 2 discoveries, turned them into deposits. I think we have enough information now. We're getting a deposit. To be 60 meters apart and cranking out the numbers we have, we're in good shape. And I'm excited to look. When I heard we got 3 collar holes be done by this weekend, I'm hoping. Then we start on our 3 brand new holes, and etc. We're excited.
Yeah. When do you expect this drill to finish, and what is the budget total for this drilling?
Well, we're gonna spend the whole 12 million we have this year, and if we get more results, who knows? Stock pops to 50-60 cents on drilling. You raise 10 million more, we drill more this fall. But right now we've got $12 million. We'll spend all of it. About 11 million will go into 750,000 will go into geophysics and everything else. Now, geophysics has changed in the last 5-6 years. So we're going to go back into areas before we did stuff, and we realize there's new technologies today. Because we noticed when we did the new area, all sorts of different things showed up. That's because the science has changed in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Remember, we discovered all this back in 2013, 14. Well, in the last 6-7 years, we've learned a lot, and the science has got better. The science has got much better. So we noticed some interesting things. So we're excited to do a new flyover and find out. I mean, Lee said it in public that north of us, not where Orano is, but they're above further. They're very happy with what they're finding. So it sounds like there's a lot of uranium in this area, and we got the largest land position, I think, of the group. I'll check. Let me check into that before you print it. I want to find out how much land we have compared to those guys. Plus, we have 15 other projects. We hope to do some work on Murphy, but we'll see how it goes.
Sorry, Dev, we will get to that, to other properties. One last question about PLN. You said it's a big property. How much of that property is actually explored, and how it's a little portion that it's explored over there, right?
Well, it's tiny.
Yeah.
FCU only explored 10% of their property, and they got 150 million pounds.
Yeah.
We're at 2%. Well, we've had holes that okay, how do you define that? Is one hole covers 1,000 kilometers? It covers 100 meters? I don't know. But we are going to go back into areas that we think knowing what we know now.
Yeah.
We think we drilled below. So if this is it here, we think we're underneath it on some of our holes earlier in our in this project. So we're pumped, man. We found some great geochem out there, 300, 450, 500. Yeah, Dev's excited. Like I said, I've been with this company for a long time, and people don't realize how much, how hard we work, and we're a family, and I believe that helps. Right now, John, two of the board members are staying with me in my little townhouse. One of our big investors, Manny Minhas, is here to listen to the guys. He drove up just 8 hours just to listen to them. We've been together a while, and we trust each other. Our meetings don't take long. Someone says, I'm going to do this. Okay, we believe them. Go ahead. We ask a couple of questions, but we trust people. And so we're pretty pumped.
That's great to hear. Let's discuss your other properties. You have a Key Lake Road in the southeast outer edge of Athabasca. Can you tell me more about this project? What is the current status? And what are the plans?
Sure. We don't have any plans to do any work for a bit. We're really focusing on what we have in front of us. I'm looking for joint venture partners pretty hard. I love
this one or the other ones also? All
of them, but some of our favorites are Key Lake. We looked at some off Bird Lake, Murphy. Traction will do some more work. The problem is we have overall shitty markets. I don't care what our stock's doing, but I know that we're lucky. Our stock survived everything much better than everybody else's. Because listen, F3 offers one thing next gen FCU doesn't have. We have blue sky. I know they're spending, they're going to spend, do 22,000 meters of drilling. I know that. But our entire focus is this, right? Our focus is entirely that. So our stock will go up if we keep drilling and finding more crap or lovely crap. You ever seen yellow cake? It looks like SHIT. It smells like it because it's been down there so long. That's why we joke about his crap. So, my daughter was a young student up there. She says, Dad, you don't need a scintillometer. You need a centilometer. You can, as soon as it comes off the chopper, we know it's high grade. But we're going to keep finding it, and this beautiful black stuff. But we got to focus what we have. And so we're going to bring in partners. But as I said, we have shitty markets. And we all know that, look, I'm not making fun of people who go from marijuana to, they go from lithium to marijuana, and they go back to lithium, and then they jump from there and they're on uranium. Well, those are the players that come into the top of the market, and they'll come in and spend lots of money. Rick Rule said to me long ago, use your mind, your property, other people's money if you can. And you remember, PLN was in a big joint venture with Azincourt, but they unwisely walked away. We chose to work with other people. That's their choice. Not a good choice, because we just sit on something big, but we had an option with somebody, and they spent a couple $1 million. Instead of keeping their 10% by spending small amounts of money, they walked away. So we got 100% of it now, but it's a big property, and you could build 5 other companies off the rest of the property.
Yeah.
To answer the question, we will do work on those things.
Yes.
But right now, our priority is PLN1. As it grows, we raise more money. For example, we're going to take $1 million now and do all sorts of exploration, geophysical. Some will be on Murphy Lake. Some will be there. Geophysical stuff is very, very cheap. For $1 million, you can do 5 properties, right? Drilling, super expensive. So you don't want to do any drilling on these things until you really know, because you know what can happen here? Is that you got a property, put a hole down, and they miss. When they miss, the property's no good, right? Well, look, some of these projects took 50 holes, 100 holes to find. But as your average retail investor is so impatient, right? They just, you missed a hole, I'm gone. That's why most retail investors don't make any money. They don't listen to Rick Rules of the world or Nick Hodges and say, buy at the bottom. Right now is the best time to buy uranium stocks. But you know what? They're not going to listen to Triangle because they're living in fear. They live in fear. Oh, the bank might shut down. This might shut down. And so they're so scared to buy stock, you know, and because of that, they don't buy FCU or F3 or next gen. They wait till the stock starts moving. Well,
herd mentality, Dev.
It is, and that's why you're not doing this interview. I hope few people listen to it because they can make a lot of money doing this, right? A lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of money they can make is mind-boggling, and you know, all these stocks will double, if not at least 40%. If we, for example, if we hit out, you know, 100 meters, 200 meters away, well, you got yourself a 60-cent stock, and maybe more. But people, our problem is, I can tell them about all the drill bits. I can tell them how nobody cares. They're so scared. They look on their screen, see red, they put their money away. When it's red, buy. Like Warren Buffett says, when there's blood in the streets, go buy. You know, whether it's East Indian or, you know, as a person of faith, I'm always been a contrarian. So you look over here, I'm over here. And so to me, when stocks go down, I buy more. People ridicule me for only buying 10, 20,000 shares when it was down one day. And, oh, he's so rich.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 14 million shares and I have an option to buy 6 million more. Okay, I put a bit of 100 in, only 10 got hit. I went away, never thought about it. And people on Twitter are saying, oh, you bought a lot. Well, I still bought something. And to me, unfortunately, we're starting to make drilling plans, so I couldn't buy anymore. I wish I could buy 1 million shares right now. I would. Because to me, we've got 30 holes coming. You got the best team. And I think I've been in this business since 1996. The storm coming for this is unbelievable. You know, like one of the analysts, came into the name, a very smart guy, I remember his name, Nick or somebody, up in Saskatchewan lately, said to me, why it's perfect. Republicans are going to push uranium because security of energy, because they don't want to trust Russians. And the Democrats, in love with their green energy, want it for green energy. So uranium for the first time has love, right? Because I think people are finding out that it's a cruel, cruel joke what California and Germany have done. You know, they said, oh, no, we got to get away from uranium. We've got to go to renewables, Germany said. This year, 50% of all our energy came from dirty coal.
Yeah.
Dirty coal is financing half of electrical energy in Germany. You know, if there were CEOs, these politicians, everyone get fired. This idiot and he's an idiot. I have no problem saying it. And governor in California, you know, on a Monday, he tells people, we're not going to have electric cars built in this country about 10 years from now. Oh my goodness. On Wednesday, he asked everybody with electric cars not to charge.
Yeah.
Electric cars and hybrids only make 5% of the cars in California. What happens if that doubled? Right? You know, who's going to make uranium fantastic is Elon Musk. Because all these electric cars are being built, but no one's bothered asking, hey boys, where's uranium coming from? Oh, energy. Oh, we need that. Okay, I got it. It just boggles my mind how these politicians yap, utilities yap, but they don't do anything. But I think we're in a world of, you know, people like, I do believe people like being lied to than tell the truth to. And that's why we have such shitty politicians.
Dev, you touched on your position, your insider ownership. How much shares do you own at the moment? Please repeat.
Last I checked, I've got 13, I think. I'll have to ask the guys. You remember a guy, I have 100 stocks. People call me up with ideas. If I like the guy, I buy the stock. I think I have 13, but in 2 years' time, I have an option for another 6. And if I do a good job, another 2. I don't know. Look, I've been with this company since 1996. Never sold one effing share.
Really?
I want to say this one more time. So I will piss some, and I'm angry about it because people think here's what you do. Find out which of your CEOs got stock in their wife's name. That's when you find out the truth. Because you put stock there, their friends' names, they sell them all along, right? And because most people aren't believers in their stocks, and that's why I believe one thing has to happen. Our compensation packages for mining companies has to get better. They're paying junior people way too little money.
Yeah.
And that's why they got to have 2-3 companies. I don't take any cash from Strathmore. Don't need it. I've got lots of. I've been fortunate. I took a company from 1.6 million to 480 million. Fully diluted 600 million. I sold enough stock, and then I've invested in other people's smart people, like you're trying to do. You're doing now to me what I've done to others. I listen to people all the time, and I give them money. I've got a buddy of mine doing an AI deal. Boom. I gave him some money. I said, I'll do 500, right? I believe it can become 5 million. Investors got to stop looking at their the big things. Go enjoy your time with your families. Go do things with them. I've learned that life is short. All the action happens we all both know by 8:30 in the morning, right? 2 hours of trading. That's about it. Buy the stock, just put your bids in and do it. But you got to do it when nobody. The worse the market is, the more you should buy. But people live more off fear than they do on greed. They see red, they run. Not me. I'm exact opposite. If I want to buy 100,000 shares of a company, $100,000, I'll buy 10,000, 20,000. I rather average up than average down.
Yeah, same here. I'm euphoric when I see stocks are losing like 15% in one day. That really gets me excited. But I know that we are like the 2% of the people that think like this.
Oh, by far, absolutely. Look, I'm happy to look. I'm on WhatsApp. Anytime you want to talk, let me know. All I'm telling you guys is own uranium stocks. Make sure we're part of your portfolio. I think we should be, because we have a duality, nobody has.
Yeah.
Sky Harbor's doing a good job, Alaska, but they're just exploring. They don't have a deposit, right? They don't have a big discovery that's super high grade. Yeah. Some of those companies are very deep and have low grade. 1% is not going to cut it. But we offer 5% over 15 meters.
Yeah.
We know it's going to become a deposit, but how big a deposit, nobody knows. But that's where we're going.
David, where do you see your company in 5 years? Be honest.
Listen, I think we'll be gone in a different format by the end of the year. If we hit these holes that I think we can hit, I think somebody will take us out. I think.
Okay, of course.
But for me, I don't base my life on that. We have an old saying in our business: we hope for the best, plan for the worst. Meaning we may not get $1 more this year. So go slow, boys. Don't blow your brains out. I've seen that way too much. People saying how it is now is always going to be. It's not. You don't know. Right? So we're going to spend this money very wisely. Like I said, we do little things. Stay with each other. Also, I think it's better for business. Oh my gosh. I think, sit here at nighttime, have a nice whiskey. My nephew brought up some super crazy whiskey. Manny brought up the Pappy. It's anywhere from $500 to $1,000, $2,000 a bottle. He bought up as a gift to thank F3 guys and Strathmore guys for the money he's made. He says, I'm glad to do it. And so that builds chemistry and builds friendships. And that's when you're trying to figure out what to do as a team, you'll know. Yeah. I've never seen a team hate each other and do well. They talk about it in sports all the time. Chemistry in the locker room. You got to have it. You got to have chemistry. Same thing here. perform it, and not everybody's the same. I don't always like everybody, but you gotta get along with everybody. Scientists are different than marketing people, and they're different from accounting people. And I'm the CEO, and I gotta put all these personalities together.
Dev, thank you very much for this interview. It was a real pleasure to host you, and I hope we will discuss more details soon.
You know what? I hope so too. Anytime you want to chat, the door's open, brother.
Thanks.